Let's dig into Starlink speed as well as latency being impacted globally. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today I have a little bit of fireside. So good, guys, so good. That smokiness of the lap song, I always tell you about it. It's so good. Anyways, look right behind me. I have all of my teas back here. There's 5 of them all together. Go check them out. Go over to JCristina.com. If you want something, grab it. It's really, really good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech day. It is a Starlink day. A lot of you guys love these Starlink videos that I do, so hopefully you like this one also. It's all about Starlink speed and latency being globally impacted. I've been getting so many messages from you guys, and I want to talk to you about it. I promised you that I was going to, and that's what we're doing here in this video. Let me preface the video by saying I absolutely love Starlink. So even though this video might be a little bit of a negative, let's say, review on what's going on with Starlink, but that being said, I still absolutely love the service, number one, and I do believe that it is by far, hands down, the best non-fiber internet option out there for businesses, for residential, if you're stationary in one location, or even more importantly, if you're moving around, mobile, all right? They have this new RV plan that's out there. That's amazing. You can just take your high speed wherever you want on the go. I think it's about an extra 25 bucks or something. So it is very good. Once again, hands down, I believe it to be the best. Now, bear in mind, if you are, now I've said this many times in the past, if you are someone that can get fat cable or fiber, fat cable being like Comcast or something like that, where you have a cable company that allows you to have high-speed internet to your home, or fiber, more importantly, if you are able to get fiber, which would be the best, just stop watching this video right now, because it doesn't matter. You are in the place where you should be. Get fiber, call it a day, forget about Starlink. Now, that being said, if you're watching this video instead of today, you're watching it in a year, 2, maybe 4 years down the road, that might not be the case anymore. And Starlink might actually end up being better than fiber or on par. So as I always say, take everything that I say with a grain of salt, because as time goes by, things change. And I try to update these videos continuously and give you my observations. So hopefully to help you decide if you want Starlink, and if you do have Starlink, are you getting the best service or similar service to everyone else? That's most important. So like I said, I've been hearing a lot from all of you guys out there in the comments underneath all of these videos, in direct messages, or through email, or through my contact form over there on JCristina.com. I've been hearing a lot from you guys saying, my service is just not what it was before. It's just slower, just everything is just lethargic compared to when we first installed it. So what I did today is I did some testing on my own service. I've also did a poll that I want to share with you. Before we get into it, I want to say that if you want more Starlink coverage like this or any of the other 50 videos, you can find all those 50 videos in a Starlink playlist. Go over to my channel, go to playlist, and then go to Starlink. You'll find all of them. There's a lot of helpful tricks, tips, how-tos, reviews, commentary about Starlink, even how to build a mesh network around Starlink internet. Matter of fact, maybe I'll put a link to this video here. Anyways, you can find the link to that video as well as all the rest, 50 plus videos, Starlink related, once again, in that playlist. Also, if you have not downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. They're free. Go over to jcristina.com/books. Once again, jcristina.com/books. So let me start out today with this poll. About 2 days ago, I did a poll. I let it run for about 24 hours, 48 hours, and we got about 400 Starlink users or customers, clients, to fill out this poll. And the poll was basically very simple. It was like, how is your service as of today in comparison to when you first installed it? Much faster, the same, slower, or much slower? So let me bring this up. As you can see here, we have much faster with 8%, faster with 12%, the same 43%, slower 26%, much slower 13%. So 43% of the people are saying, listen, their service is pretty much on par to what it was when they first installed it, which is pretty good. Now, 20% are saying that their service is faster, whereas 39%, almost 40% are saying that it is slower. That means that there's 2 times more people, there's a double the number of people that are seeing a slowdown in their service in comparison to it speeding up. And I think that's why I'm getting a lot of messages from people saying, my service is just slow. It's not the way it was before. What are you seeing? Most of the people that are having problems are the ones that write in to me. Usually I don't get the message like, the service is fantastic. It's running faster than ever. So I get a lot of the negative stuff because they want to know how to fix it. And I give them some tricks, tips, once again, on how to fix it, how to contact Starlink, how to reboot their router, how to do this, that, or whatever, how to test their dongle. Test your dongle. Yeah, test your dongle, your little Ethernet adapter, and all kinds of other stuff. I'll be doing a teardown of one of those dongles, one of those Ethernet adapters in a future video. Watch for that. Subscribe so you don't miss that. Anyway, so that's the kind of messages that I've been getting. So what I did is I stayed up. It was Sunday yesterday until like 12 a.m. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do test after test and see what type of results do I get. I wanted to do it on a Sunday really early in the morning, 12 a.m., so that there's no congestion. Most of the people are sleeping because they have to get up to work on Monday morning. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay up and see how it goes. So what I ended up doing was 2 tests at night, around midnight. And then when I got in at about 7 a.m., I did another test. So we got 3 tests. And each one of those tests, I did 10 tests. So it's 3 sets of 10 tests all in a row. So the very first test that I did, I ended up using a server out of Atlanta, Georgia. Why, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. The reason being is my POP, or my point of presence, is located in Atlanta, Georgia, meaning my IP address, if you resolve it and see where it comes from a pool of IP addresses in Atlanta, Georgia. So the test has less distance to have to go. And we use that Ookla, OOKLA. Or if you just go to speedtest.net, that's what we're using for this. The second test that I did, instead of telling it what server to use, I let it just pick whichever random server that it comes up with that it feels is faster. And then finally, when I came back into the studio in the morning, I allowed it to once again pick the server, whatever it wants to use, and we did 10 tests to that. So let's take a look at what we ended up with, and maybe we can find a pattern of what's going on here. That's what I like to do. I'm analytical, but I'm also artistic. But I do like to look at things and try to break it down and try figuring out what the hell is going on here, right? So on test number 1, you can see all these results. Matter of fact, I'm going to run them all on the screen. If you want to write any of this stuff down and do the math, just in case I screwed up the math, go ahead and do so. Now, test number 1, we can see a download speed of a total of 867.41. You divide that by 10 tests, we have an average of 86.741. That's the download speed. Now, in the upload speed, we got 105.47 divided by 10, an average of 10.547 as far as the upload speed. And then latency was 578 divided by 10, which gives us an average latency of 57.8 milliseconds. Now, moving on to test number 2. Remember, test number 2 is where we allowed it to just pick the server, whichever server it wanted to pick, in comparison to the first one where we told it that we want a server in this specific location. So now this time they actually picked for us and they found the best server out there. Now, the download speed, we ended up with 1,085 divided by 10. We have an average of 108.5 download. As far as upload speed, we have 99.19 divided by 10, which gives us 9.919. When we're speaking about upload and download speed, we're talking about megabits. When we're talking about latency, we're talking about milliseconds. All right. So now as far as the latency with this test number 2, we have a latency of 579 or 57.9. Almost identical latency, right, between the 2 tests. I started out testing right around 11:45 or something, and I was done by 12 o'clock. almost exactly 12 a.m. Now, test number 3, when we came into the studio, once again, we're using this Ookla or speedtest.net, and we allowed it to pick whichever server it wanted to use. And the results on this is kind of interesting also. We have a download speed of 1651.21 divided by 10 gives us 165.121 megabits per second. As far as upload speed, we have 112.67 divided by 10, or 11.267 megabits per second. And finally, latency, we have 328 divided by 10 gives us 32.8 milliseconds. So obviously, there was less latency here in the morning than there was at 12 a.m. Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me, but that's what it was. Now, of course, there's no way of knowing what is going on behind the scenes, 100% definitive, because I don't work for Starlink. I can just guess and speculate just like you can. But when I watch these tests, what I find interesting, especially when I look at the upload, I feel like the download is a little bit more relaxed. They allow it to be what it could be, let's say. All right. Maybe during congestion, they'll limit that. But when it comes to upload, it doesn't matter if we were doing it at 12 a.m. or if we're doing it at 7 a.m. when there's nothing, there's like no congestion or very little congestion. What I noticed is the speeds start out and you can see a major spike when it first starts doing the test. And maybe, for example, with our upload speed, it might spike to like 20 megabits per second, 22 megabits per second, and then just slowly digress and slowly get lower and lower and lower until we're down to anywhere around 10 megabits per second. Maybe 8, maybe 9, maybe 11, somewhere around 10. And this happened over and over. I've never watched this before until doing this test. So it feels very throttled. Okay, but I'll get into that in just a second. Now, when we take all 3 of these tests and ball them all up together, we end up on average about 120 megabits per second on the download and 10.58, 10 and a half, let's call it, megabits per second on the upload. And when it comes to latency, we're at about 49.5, rounded up to, let's say, 50 milliseconds latency. Now, I told you guys about this in the past. I predicted that when they introduce the premium service, where you get faster speeds for a greater amount of money. So instead of spending, let's say, $110 a month, you spend $500 a month. Instead of getting the kit for, let's say, $500, $600, you spend $2,500 for the kit. I said at that time, I predicted there's going to be throttling happening to everyone that has the standard service so that they can say, well, look how much more you get with the premium service. Now, once again, do I know that this is the fact? No, but that's what I predicted. And it feels that way, guys. It just simply feels that way. They say, no, we're not limiting anything. We are not throttling anything. But when you see the actual testing go on, it just feels like it. I mean, I don't know. But as a point of reference, I've been with Starlink for about 6 months, 6.5 months now. Even as current as 2 months ago, I was getting anywhere from about 200 to 250 megabits per second down and 24 to 30 megabits up, and a latency about 25 to 30 milliseconds. And if they would move me to the Miami POP, point of presence, I would be at about 19 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, just screaming fast, really good. Well, now we're in Georgia again. Don't ask me why. That's just what's going on. Who knows? Maybe they're doing like a new paint job on Miami. I don't know what it is, but we can't get back over there. So we have that additional latency. But I was getting latency of about 25 to 30 milliseconds. Now we're up to almost 50. So it's a doubling when it comes to, nearly double when it comes to latency. When it comes to the download speed, I was getting 200 to 250. We're now seeing 120 on average. Once again, that is a halving of the speed. When we're talking upload speed, I was getting 24 to 30 megabits per second. Now we're seeing 10.58. Let's even round up. Let's give them 11. Once again, half of the upload speed. So what is going on here? There's obviously something going on. Now, the problem that I have is not necessarily with the download speed. 100 megabits per second, 150 megabits per second is ample. That is enough for having multiple 4K streams going simultaneously. It's good. Where I'm having a problem with this is the upload speed being cut in half. That's number one. That's very important for me. Like if I was to go live with you guys, the less upload speed I have, the less I can do. The same thing with uploading videos. The less upload speed I have, the slower it takes. I can't get as much out to you as quick as I want to. And number two, which is the most important, is latency. When we see latency that used to be 20, 25 milliseconds, now close to 50, doubling, that is a major problem. Latency is everything. If you're doing a first-person shooter and you're playing a game, latency is everything. If you're doing any type of Zoom, doesn't matter what it is, latency is very, very important. And seeing that degrading over time, I don't like it. And a lot of you guys are feeling the same way, and that's why you're writing into me. So obviously, we're not going to be able to figure this out today and say this is definitively what the problem is. Maybe in a future video, we'll explore why I think this is happening and do even some more deeper tests, doing reverse look, all kinds of different things. But for now, I just want to say that if you guys would be so kind as to write into me in the comment area below and share with the rest of the community what your down speeds are on average, your upload speeds, and what your latency is now. And what was it at the beginning, if you have that information. If not, just put what they are now. And we could always go back in a month and then look at all of your results and compare them later on. We can do that. But for now, put that information down there and maybe we can figure out what the hell is going on here. And is this because of congestion or is this because of premium service that they're offering? I just feel that a lot of it has to do with premium, and I do feel that there is throttling going on. It just looks that way. It feels that way. In my bones, it tells me that we're seeing throttling. What do you guys think? I want to know your thoughts. So as I always say, that if you enjoyed this even a little bit, please throw it a thumbs up and share it with other friends, family, colleagues, Reddit, Facebook, or anyone else that's interested in Starlink, that might have Starlink or might want to buy Starlink and they want to get some insider track. Maybe once again, some helpful tips, tricks, how-tos, reviews, commentary, whatever on Starlink. Send them over to our playlist. That would be helpful. And if you haven't subscribed as of yet, please subscribe and click this little bell icon over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.